G'day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Golfing Greenkeeper podcast. By now, I hope that you know my name is Steve Smith, and I'm your host to take you through this wonderful journey as we talk to many different people within the greenkeeping space, working on golf courses right around Australia and New Zealand. And this one, ladies and gentlemen, is a wonderful conversation with Brenton Clarke, Superintendent of Settlers Run Golf and Country Club down in Melbourne in Victoria. Now, a wonderful part of Keeper of the Greens is that I've got a fantastic partner of this segment of the podcast, and that is John Deere Golf, as I'm sure you know. And we've got a wonderful partnership that continues to support this segment and get these wonderful stories and deep insights from golf courses across Australia and New Zealand, which is so amazing and incredibly special. And by doing so, we get to share things that you've probably never heard before. Not just greenkeeping careers, people's journeys, the way that they've grown as professionals into their roles where they currently work, but also from within golf clubs, how these golf clubs are performing, how these golf clubs are being prepared for you to enjoy out there as you go and play golf as well. And it's wonderful insight that you only get from listening to this segment, John Deere Golf, Keeper of the Greens. And John Deere Golf are wonderful partners, but you know the best part is that they've also got some fantastic equipment that's available for you right now to improve how you look after your golf courses. And one of those that I want to mention to you are the electric walk-behind greens mowers that John Deere have available. When it comes to greens mowing, consistency, reliability, and simplicity matter, especially during the early morning starts. And it's the early morning starts when we often run into challenges around noise. That's where the John Deere 225 E-Cut and the 185 E-Cut walk-behind greens mowers really stand out. Now, these electric walk-behind mowers deliver the cut quality you expect while reducing noise and simplifying daily operations. Now, with the electric drive, there's less things to check each morning. When you do your pre-start checks, before you go out operating the machine, there's less things to look at, less things to check over on an electric walk-behind greens mower than there is on an internal combustion engine walk-behind greens mower. There's smoother operation for the operators as a result of the electric drive that they have. And they're a quieter presence on the golf course. Now, for turf teams, that means more flexibility around mowing windows, less disruption to play, and a cleaner, more efficient approach to greens maintenance. And that flexibility around mowing windows is important, ever so as we get more and more neighbours around golf courses. There's golf courses that once were away from houses and property and residents, and now more and more they're slowly being encompassed by the suburbs around them. The John Deere 225 E-Cut and the 185 E-Cut are now available, so if you're looking to upgrade your greens program, get in touch with your local John Deere dealership to secure your unit. Get in touch with your local John Deere representative through the local dealership to ask the questions that you need to ask about how these mowers, these electric walk-behind greens mowers, might be the solution and the best way for your club to move forward, to raise the bar in quality, but also to potentially solve some of the other problems that you might be dealing with and running into in your particular golf site. Get in touch with your local John Deere dealer. And the best way to do that is to go to the website. If you're not sure who your local dealer is, if you've never dealt with John Deere before, now's the time to have them in the conversation. Go to the website, deere.com.au, and in there you can search for where your local dealership is relative to where you are. You just type in your postcode. It's very, very easy indeed. And the wonderful dealer network that John Deere have around Australia and New Zealand is there to support you in your role and to support your club. Equipment is only part of the picture. Support matters just as much. John Deere's turf offering is backed by a dealer network across Australia and New Zealand that understands the pressures of golf and sports turf. From setup and service to long-term support, it's about having the right people behind you when it counts. And your local John Deere dealer is there to support you on course and beyond. Check them out, ladies and gentlemen, at deere.com.au. It's great to have partners John Deere involved with this segment of the Golfing Greenkeeper podcast, being Keeper of the Greens. We wait no more. Without further ado, this is episode number 201. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going into Victoria to a golf course that I'm interested to learn a little bit more about, and we've touched on in the past, and it's with Superintendent Brenton Clarke from Settlers Run Golf and Country Club. I think I got it all right. G'day, Brenton. How are you, mate?
Yes, I'm well, Steve. Thanks for having me on.
Mate, thank you for joining in for this one. We've spoken once before on the pod. We've had you on Walking the Fairways, talking about some of the stuff that you've been up to. And, mate, I'm interested to talk about your career a bit more and maybe a little bit more in depth about Settlers Run as well, because it's a wonderful place and down that way in Victoria. I've seen it once briefly with you and had a bit of a look around from the clubhouse area. And, mate, I don't know your backstory either, but I'm sure that there's lots to talk about when we go through everything. I think it's going to make for a good conversation. I'm excited.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I've had a few people tap me on the shoulder and say, "When's Steve going to contact you?" So, no, I've been excited for this.
Very good stuff, mate. Now, before we go, you recently were on a bit of if you don't mind me asking, you were on a bit of a journey that involved travel around Australia. You're up, I think, somewhere in WA. Is that right?
Yeah, had a week off, so it was pretty brief. But went up to Kununurra, so real outback out there, and got to experience some good weather and some interesting wildlife that you wouldn't see sort of down the south here. So it was a pretty cool place to go visit.
Very different part of the country. Have you ever experienced anything like that before?
No, I've never gone outback.
Oh wow!
I've sort of delved into my brother's industry, I guess, and that's what he does for a living. So it was good to see what he does, and his passion for up there.
Any golf courses out there? I've got to ask. I know it's pretty brutal part of the country in terms of climate.
Yeah. No, it was interesting. Like we did walk over Kununurra, so obviously sand scrapes over there. But it was good to see a dry golf course this time of year.
Very good indeed, mate. Well, look, it's good to just to hear about. I love when I hear people exploring the country in different parts. It's a wonderful part of Australia is that we get to experience so many different types of environments, landscapes, and climate. So it's good. I'm glad to hear you got away, mate, and got to enjoy some time with the family as well. Now, before we get going, mate, I start off with Steve's Super 7 questions for a little bit of lighthearted fun and a bit of an icebreaker. You ready to go?
Absolutely.
Let's do it. Number 1. A summer morning or winter morning? What is your preference, Brenton?
Definitely summer. The sun comes up a bit quicker in the summer, I think, and it's a bit easier to get out of bed too, I think.
I think you got that part right. There's no two ways about that either as well. Number 2, stripes or no stripes on fairways? And I'm sitting down ready for the answer.
Yeah, I might avoid myself for a few more jobs in my future, but I'm a stripes man, so
hey, we got another one on the list. There's not many of us, mate. I'll put it down.
But I've got to be a bit particular with my stripes. Like I love a diamond cut, and
okay,
they've got to be straight. I don't really like contour cuts and stuff like that. But
because there's so breaking into that a little bit. There's so many different types of stripes that people often don't think about. Like you mentioned, there, diamond cut or contour cuts, or we follow the edges of fairway cuts. So many different versions you can incorporate into what a stripe cut looks like, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I find it an interesting one listening to your podcast quite a lot, and people saying that stripes affect the native curves and stuff like that. But I actually find it actually can enhance a bit of the slopes and stuff like that. If you've got a straight left to right or right to left cut, you can actually sort of provide a bit more design to the course.
No, mate, it's very good. Like I said, mate, I'm glad you're on my side. I'll put myself squarely on the stripe side, and there's not many people that come to join me in a modern space. But incidentally, and I don't think I've ever mentioned this, interesting you talk about that diamond cut or something like that. I used to love just one direction of cut, but it was never straight. I always used to like it either sort of on the angle from the front left to the top right or the front right to the top left. It was just always off an angle to give it something different. But there you go. There's so many different ways of doing it. It's very interesting to talk about. Mate, we've never talked into the stripe side of it because there's not many of us. So very good, mate. Thank you for your answer on number 2. Number 3, what are your thoughts here on bunkers? Do you let me reframe this question. Let me try and word it better. What are your thoughts on bunkers as a hazard?
Yeah, it is classified as a hazard, but it's an interesting one, and I've thought about it a bit more, probably deeply than a lot of other people in the sense with committee meetings,
Okay.
and just listening to different versions of what people think a bunker hazard should provide.
Yep.
So, I've got bunkers are a huge issue, obviously, here at Settlers Run, and we're sort of going through a bit of a revamp and design, I guess, of them.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's interesting just to hear from the golfer point of view of what they expect to get out of a bunker, whether it is meant to take a penalty out of it, you're supposed to lose a shot in that hole almost, or whether it is just a different club decision. So
That's an interesting point. Yeah.
yeah, so I definitely look at it as it's a well-maintained hazard, but we probably go too far in maintaining it.
Okay. It's an interesting topic of discussion. I note the word in there is what is expected. That word expectation of a bunker, because as a golfer, we all have a different idea of what that should be. And I think for the most part, in conversations we often hear, certainly as turf managers or golf course managers, is that golfers want them to be prepared a particular way that is more consistent. That's another word I'm not a fan of. There's lots of words I'm not a fan of when it comes to this sort of thing. But I find the word consistency around bunkers is an interesting one. Expectation of what that is, because everyone has a different idea. That makes it hard to kick through the goalposts in a way, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it's becoming more and more harder for turf managers or golf course managers, I guess, in trying to provide that for the golfer experience, because I don't think golfers really understand what they want either.
Yeah, that's probably also true. Maybe we need to ask more questions.
Yeah, but it's funny when you can sit in a room of 6 to 8 fellas and women, I guess, in committees, and they can't agree on what they want in a bunker, and then you're trying to provide it for a broad membership as well. So, it's an interesting conversation, and I'd love to peel away every committee member and put them in a room and get a defined answer of what they expect out of a bunker.
And you know what? As much as that would be a great thing to do, even then, I'd be curious to know whether there would be an outcome of what would be. And I wonder if is that something that in committee meetings and board meetings at every club, because everyone has a different idea. Should a club define what they want as a bunker before just assuming that the golf course maintenance team is going to deliver the product? I mean, we're all chasing a different idea, and that comes down to, I guess, communication and expressing the ideas and maybe defining what we all want as to see a bunker on our golf course, what the outcome needs to be. It's a very interesting discussion point, I think is probably where I'm going. So
yeah. And your word consistent's a good one too. If it's a hazard, it doesn't need to be consistent. So
yep. And we hear that from many clubs as well.
Yeah. Yep.
Very good, mate. Number 3, that was a great one. Number 4, what is your opinion of green speeds?
So this is a good subject to touch on in my degree, but we sort of moved away from green speeds and talked about trueness and firmness.
Okay.
And it's probably something I'm not that proud of, but I can admit that we've never actually stimped the greens at Settlers since I've been here.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting.
I did it at my previous course I worked at, but it was periodically, and it was sort of worked off the last superintendent. So,
okay.
Again, it's a bit of art form, I feel, feeling the speed of greens. And it was a good one to reflect back on your podcast with the Australian Open and listening to Richard talk to the
the tournament directors. I think that was
and he asked where do you stimp on this green, and he sort of went, well, we don't stimp.
I love that part of that conversation. It was, you could just hear the air in between them. I mean, it's like, well, what is that? 1 + 1 doesn't equal. There's no answer. What is it? What do you mean you don't stimp them? It was like 2 different languages.
But I feel like when you're working on a surface every day of the year, and you're sort of getting tuned to what you're producing, and we don't really chase speed unless we've just renovated or we've done something to disrupt that surface, I guess.
Yep.
Otherwise, we try and keep it, as that word, consistent, to allow the membership to understand this is what we sort of got to expect in green speeds. And to be fully honest, like it's probably harder to keep them slower than it is faster these days.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I can't believe how far maintenance has moved on putting greens in terms of speed. It's going to hurt me to say how long I haven't been working on a golf course. It's been 13 years. Actually, yeah, it has. Yeah, that's scary. But it seems to be and appears to me that golf courses with smaller teams and more regional courses are now producing speeds that were considered only the elite clubs could deliver, and now it seems to be everywhere that we can wind them right up almost at the snap of your fingers with modern equipment, modern techniques, knowledge through turf managers as well and greenkeepers and what they're getting from peers and conversations as well. So, like you say, it's easier to do. It's harder to get them to slow down if we need to.
Yeah,
that's an interesting point.
But I sort of look for. I actually found it really interesting over COVID. It was the hardest time to actually prepare, even though we weren't open, but prepare a golf green surface because you wouldn't watch ball roll during the day.
Okay. Yeah, right.
And I feel like, you get a good idea. If you're working on a hole and you just look up and see someone putt out and you kind of the green sort of want at the moment, or you can hear that thud when they come in, you go, yeah, they're at a decent firmness. But obviously benchmarking is a critical thing to do, and I'm probably not proud of the fact that I haven't stimped, but I just feel like stimping is probably the last thing I am judging my surface on.
It's and does that? I'm just trying to work out where my brain's thinking at the moment out loud. But does that? I wonder, because I hear lots of golfers. I play golf from time to time with people, obviously, and it's almost like people want a definitive answer to every part of a golf course now. And maybe this is an extension of the bunker question just before, in that golfers want a particular type of outcome or experience in a bunker so that they have the answer to that. If it's not something that they're prepared for, they can't have an answer to it, or they don't know how to work through that problem. Is that not the challenge? And this is getting a little bit existential, I think. Is that not the challenge of golf? Like, is that the idea is to play and manufacture something through the particular location you've hit the ball to? And if we provide a specific example or a specific product on any part of the golf course, the fairways have to be this, the greens have to be that, the bunkers are expected to play like this and look like this, then they're all the same. We're all the same. Yeah. And this begs the question. So you touched on the word art form, talking about stripes there before in fairways and in terms of how that sort of looks and appears. Golf as a sport is essentially an art form. Everyone has a different swing. Everyone plays a different type of shot. And everyone goes about hitting their shots differently. No two swings are the same, I guess, to a certain extent. And no two golf courses are the same, and nor should we try to be. But I often hear the trying to be the same. And I wonder, is that a result of people playing the game wanting to know what their answer will be to something that they haven't got to yet? If I hit it down the fairway, and the divot in the fairway is a classic one. If it lands in a divot, everyone loses their mind because that's not what they expect their ball to be on in a fairway. So that's an unfair, and I hate that word. Lots of words I don't like in this discussion already, mate. Is that an unfair spot for them to play a shot from, because that's not a golf location that they know is going to react a certain way from hitting that shot. It's going to react differently. I'm just throwing and spitballing all these things out of what you've just said about delivering your green surfaces in terms of green speeds. You haven't stimped them, therefore we don't have an answer to that for you or your club, for people playing golf. Does it matter? Like, is golf not part of dealing with what's in front of you? You don't need to know what if I tell you the answer to an equation, well, then you don't need to work it out.
Yeah, well, when you look at the technology, and the technology coming into the industry is great, but it's what you I guess tell your membership. So it's gone that far now where we're telling pin locations. So
yeah.
And I love that, and I have a really good rapport with Mark Leishman's dad back in Warrnambool, and he was the only person to sort of battle for me when I would put a really high pin on one of the holes over there, and he said if you play it smart and you play below the pin, it's going to be an easy pin to attack. But if you play it from above, that's at your own fault, and that's course knowledge, and that's what you've got to battle through your own round. It's not the greenkeeper's fault because he's put it in a somewhat hard scenario.
Yep.
So it's it's too much information sometimes, and I think it's more golfers that worry about green speeds than greenkeepers.
Oh, no doubt. 100% it is. Absolutely. I mean, if you deliver a golf course, once upon a time, or probably even more now, I should say, once upon a time, it's been 13 years since I was in it, but if you deliver slow greens, the players who like faster greens, and often the lower handicap players that like the faster greens, can't putt to them. I'll stick my hand up and say I'm one of those people. I'm not one that I don't think that it's great to have fast greens in every location. It's horses for courses, but when they're slow, I struggle. But that doesn't mean that that's not good. It just means that I've got to get my head around it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I put that on myself then. I need to work out how to play this golf course that I'm on. Not the other way around. The golf course shouldn't come to my game. I need to come to the golf course's game. And that's how I view it. And that's, there's so many parts of this that...
and there's environmental things to think about too. Like if you get a fairly windy day, your course can become pretty unplayable, even if the greens are at a, fairly slow speed, with the amount of slopes and stuff you can have. So just by juicing them up and saying how quick are these greens, not necessarily the best thing. Doesn't mean your course or greens are any better than the course next year.
Exactly right, 100%. There's so many other factors involved in the decision-making process of how to deliver a golf green. And I go back to that podcast episode from the Australian Open with Richard Forsyth. Those were the questions being thrown around. We need to be careful of the wind. So are we too quick? We need to be conscious that we're not going to put the tournament day one in any sort of jeopardy. Where are we at with those things? Or whose interpretation of the forecast is the wisest? And understanding that, what are we going to expect? Are we going to fall off the map? And there's so many factors involved in delivering a green speed. Whatever that green speed is, we don't necessarily have to put a number to it because more often than not, we're out there just throwing a few balls around a green, looking at whether that pin location would be okay. So there's other ways of measuring a green speed. I think just putting a number to it is a way for people who don't know that particular site to compare. Is what it always comes down to. But mate, that was good. That was
well, we go even further into it if you wanted. So, as a turf manager, there's a lot of things to think about, and course play is another thing too. So, you could have a 13 stimp green, but if you're having 230 people play that day, they're probably not going to see light by the end of it. So, there's a lot of other things to think about as well, instead of just saying, we're as quick as, St Andrews on a hot day,
And you're quite right. Those I've got absolutely no doubts in a modern time, more so than 13 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, that a lot of the reason we have 5-hour rounds of golf now on Saturday play at many clubs is the fact that the green speeds are up on average across all of the golf courses around. Certainly, I'll speak for Australia in general, because we've been able to do that a lot easier. We go back to what we were saying before. But people are putting a lot more on the putts. They're taking more time to read putts because they're concerned about, if I get it wrong and I hit it too hard, where's it going to finish? They're taking, because there's more break in putts the faster they are. The greens don't change all the time in construction, so the slopes might have been slopes from 50 years ago, but now we've wound the green speeds up on that particular golf course, and I stick my hand up and say I did it at Katoomba, and I did it too far. That then in turn is what you're saying. It makes play slower. You put that on one group on one hole, then extrapolate it out over, as you said, 230 people on a day regularly. All of a sudden, the round has just blown out because people are taking more time. These are real things that have to be and that are being considered by clubs and turf managers, and it all adds up.
Absolutely.
It certainly all adds up.
You see tournaments, they purposely, you see the frustration in a lot of superintendents because they can't manage the way they generally manage. But the course tournament wants to have high scores, and they want the rounds to go through smoothly, and so they're purposely slowing down the greens, and we probably need to look into that a bit further.
Certainly becoming something that yes, needs more consideration, no doubt. Man, that was awesome. Number 4, that's huge. Let's go something a little bit more relaxed. Do you have a favourite grass variety for number 5, mate?
Pretty boring for me. Santa Ana. I come from a hot place. I love my warm season grasses, and Santa Ana. I think, even though I'm starting to turn on a few other varieties, I think Santa Ana is still a proven variety to stick with.
Very good. Number 6. What is the most important tool in your shed? Not labour. Move away from the people and the staff in your team, but the most important inanimate object in your shed. Had some interesting answers here. We'll see which way you go.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting one because, we as you get older as a super and you apply for more machinery, and you'll get a fairway mower, or you get a spray unit, and you'll get a committee member walk past you and say, "Oh, you've got it. Well done. That's what you needed." And it's like, I've got another 25 things on my agenda as well. But I think it is hard to just pinpoint one thing. But I have worked without an irrigation system, so I would think probably the irrigation pumps and the software that comes with it.
I like
if
that.
I lost that, if I lost that on Christmas night, I don't think I'd be in a very nice place for a week or so.
Irrigation system. That is a very, very good answer. No one's doubled up yet. This is great. I love it. Very, very good answer. You're quite right. A very, very important tool in many sheds. So in nearly everyone. It's an important tool. Full stop. Great answer. Number 7, the final one. Within Australia or New Zealand, or Australia and New Zealand, which golf course, not your own, so you can't nominate Settlers Run, which golf course would you recommend people visit and why? Come on, mate. I'm interested for this.
I've visited a couple of New Zealand courses, but I can't talk that vastly on it. But there's 2 I'd mention. So there's a little 9-holer out southwest of Victoria called Framingham.
Framingham,
yeah. It's a really if you like something a bit more odd, and
I'm into that.
Something that's really tight and small. Really makes you think about each shot. It's definitely one to go have a look at.
Wow. Where is that near? Where are we talking?
So we're 35, 40 Ks north of Warrnambool.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'll look that up. I'll see if I can get that one linked in the show notes somehow. Even if it doesn't have a website or Facebook, I'll pin it somehow on a map.
That's a ripper. And Ross Corbett's the super out there. He's a ripping bloke too. So
okay.
He's been mentioned before by Nathan Turner. So
yes. Yep.
Ross, got to give a good shout out to Ross. But probably as a full 18-hole setup, I'd say Mount Compass in South Australia.
Oh, yes. That's a nice nomination. Good stuff. Mount Compass.
So I think it's one of the gems that doesn't really get a mention too much in SA. It has been a bit modified since I've last been there, but always love to go down that way and have a hit on Mount Compass.
I've seen some wonderful images coming out of Mount Compass. It is on my list in SA. But hey, I think you're the first person to nominate a South Australian course. There you go. In that one. So we'll take that. Links will be for people who don't know those. You'll be able to click on them in the show notes and see what they're talking, what Brenton's talking about. Very good nomination, but that was one of the best Super Sevens I've had. That was very in depth, mate. Well done. Great responses to all those, and always a bit of fun to give us an idea of the way you think, and also an icebreaker as we get into. It helps me set up my audio. People don't realise while I'm doing this. So, mate, very good. Now, I love this part. Obviously, it's a big part of Keeper of the Greens. We talk about your career, mate. If you would be so kind, would love you to step us back to how you got into greenkeeping. How do you break through into the wonderful industry that we've all come to know and love in greenkeeping? Where was it that you grew up, perhaps, and how did you find your way into greenkeeping? And step your way through us, please, to being the superintendent at Settlers Run, where you are today, Brenton.
Yeah, no, I'd love to go through it. So I started probably in year 10 for me in South Australia. So okay. Adelaide Hills, born and bred up in the hills there. And I was in high school and had work experience to do, and I managed through my membership, really. I managed to work at Adelaide Oval for a week.
Oh, wow.
Just doing, grounds maintenance there, and
iconic really Adelaide venue, mate. That's unreal.
Yeah, and if you know me, that's my mecca. Love the place down there. So Fantastic. It was before it was revamped, and it was the real old style stands, and it was a bit of a awakening for me of the sort of turf industry, I guess, and I was lucky enough to work with the 3IC there, who was Damien Hoff, who's now the main man, the head curator there now, and he works all over the world. So
wow,
kept a good connection with him, and I'm quite happy to call him my friend. And he comes pretty locally from where I was too. So did that, and then continued school obviously until year 12, and didn't really think, I guess, sports turf was going to be my thing, and I was a cricketer by nature, and I was playing down in the district league in Adelaide, and through school they sort of signed me up through TAFE to do a sports turf cert.
Okay.
And turned up to day one at TAFE and realised I was the only one that wasn't an apprentice or a trainee.
Oh, so you were doing the trade without working at a place, at a venue?
Yeah.
Right.
So that was a bit embarrassing, and sort of talking to everyone, and sort of like, oh yeah, I'm not doing that. But and luckily the coordinator there sort of had a golf club that had a casual position open, so he gave me the contacts there and said, at least try and get in the industry that way. So luckily it was a pretty local club to me. It was about 15 minutes away from where I lived, and called up the superintendent there, which was Steve Pellett at Blackwood Golf Club.
Okay, yep.
And luckily to this day he's still there, and another great friend in the industry. But he gave me my first opportunity as a casual groundsman at Blackwood Golf Club.
Wow. So you put the cart before the horse, in a sense. You signed up for the theory side of the job without working anywhere. That was that. Did you realise that wasn't normal? And I guess you touched on it there a little bit. But yeah, that's a bit interesting to launch into it that way.
Yeah, no, I didn't really realise that, and I was a bit annoyed at my student advisor, I guess, because he's the one that sort of mapped out my year 11 and year 12 years to go into TAFE.
Okay, yeah, right.
And do it that way. So, look back on it, I think it was probably the best path for me. But I would have tried to get a traineeship or apprenticeship first
Yeah, a
anyway.
little bit of a different way in, but not on purpose, just by accident.
Yeah, yep.
Okay, so
So
you're out of Blackwood.
yeah, Blackwood Golf Club. So yeah, it's a second tier level, I guess, golf club in Adelaide, and probably one of the higher ones. There's Tea Tree Gully that's probably just above it, maybe, and Blackwood was a pretty high standard golf course in South Australia, in Adelaide.
Yep.
And we had I think we had six. Steve just became super at that point, about 3 months prior. And he just put on an apprentice too. So,
Okay.
So we were just ticking along, and the other apprentice didn't work out, and he resigned, and then Steve tapped me on the shoulder the same day and said, "Look, the opportunity is here if you want an apprenticeship." Which I jumped on board straight away.
Unreal. What a great way to get signed up, obviously, soon after you're starting your TAFE side of it. So you're in a golf course, and you come from a cricket recreational side of background, or playing grade cricket, I gather by the sounds of it, not golf.
Yeah, no, I never swung a club in my life.
So you're on a golf course, but you'd been a fan of cricket oval. You'd done your work experience there. You played a lot of cricket. This is a kind of an interesting step here. What was that like? Was that where you wanted to be, or you were just like, this gets me the turf side of where I want to start my career?
It was probably, I didn't realise at the time, but when I did that work experience at Adelaide Oval, it was probably the best way to show me that I was a golf greenkeeper for life.
Okay, wow.
Just the amount of jobs you can change up in one day, let alone over a week. I feel like you just got the variety that you can do, and the amount of different things we're doing on a daily basis.
Yep.
So and I was pretty much once I was in that role, I thought I wouldn't ever go back to a sporting ground, I guess. This is what was pretty good to me.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
So I can remember my first round of golf was at a trade event, and I ended up with 2 points. I think it was pretty bad.
That's rough. That's a tough day out on the course, mate. That's a tough day out on the course.
So I never claim I'm a golfer, and I enjoy having a swing, but I'm not out there to win the any of the cups that are out there for Superintendent, that's for sure.
Very interesting. So tell us, so you do your time at Blackwood, do you see that out there? How does your apprenticeship time go at Blackwood?
Yeah, so I was there from the start of 2007. I got to 2009, and I'd done my study.
Okay.
And I was captaining my cricket team at the time. I was coaching the under-10s at the same time, and the cricket club had a landscaper in the club, and he offered me a position.
Right.
And I went to the super and said, "Look, is the club happy to sign me off and put me on full time?"
Mm-hmm.
And came back, and it was, "Well, no, like the club wants you to, like they're not going to pay you more just because you've finished your TAFE." So, and that's fair enough. I'd be probably the same way as well. So, I said to Steve, "Oh, look, I want to move on. Would you sign me off and say I'm a qualified greenkeeper?" So he said he'd do the same thing as well. So he signed me off.
Yep.
And I went off into landscaping for a few years.
Oh wow! So was this when you say sign off, you'd come to the end of your time in terms of your TAFE schooling, so you've completed all that, your time had finished, it was just a case of getting the official from your employer, which is what you do, and once that's done, you've gone, okay, well, it's not where, there's not much room for me to grow here, I'm going to find the next step in the career. That's what that was all about.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
And there was no guarantee that the club was going to take on like any apprenticeship, really.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you can wait another year, and when we're talking, I sort of laugh when I hear apprentice wages these days, but like, I think I came on at $6.40 an hour, and I think I finished up on 11.20 or something like that. So, and then getting offered, mid-20s as a landscaper, and
Yeah.
being young and whatnot. So,
For sure.
yeah, we did that, and had a very mutual agreement, and quite happy. And I went off and did that.
Yep.
And then after that, I guess I went traveling. So I went a few years, I guess, out of the industry, and met different people, and I eventually crossed the border into Victoria in 2015.
Okay. So your travel was around Australia travel or international travel?
No, international. So
Okay.
yeah, so I met a partner, and she was from Sydney, I was from South Australia, so we ended up saying, let's move to Victoria together.
Okay.
And yeah, that's sort of, I fell into a job, I guess, in Melbourne, at Box Hill Golf Club.
Oh, righto. Okay. So the greenkeeping gig is just, you're essentially starting a new life, a new chapter in your life.
Yeah, yep.
Wow.
And again, it was the same sort of scenario. So Steve had been 3 months when he put me on at Blackwood, and Josh Leyland at Box Hill had just been there for 3 months pretty much as well. So jumped into that role, and it felt pretty much like I'd never left, really. It was straight in, and the same sort of aspects, different golf course obviously, and different aspects, but it was a much bigger team at Box Hill.
Okay.
And within 3 months I became the foreman there.
Right.
So I started my diploma, so I knew this was sort of where I was going now. This is going to be my career.
Okay. This was it. It was now to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
So Box Hill, for people listening, is that the east side of Melbourne?
Yeah, they call it the heart of the East, or
Okay.
it's like another city in Box Hill in Melbourne. So,
okay. All right.
very, very busy golf course, very tight. It's small in area, but it's got its challenges with tight fairways, and smallish green complexes, and they've got drainage issues there, and they just came off a few other issues as well. So Josh sort of came in there with a lot to do.
Okay.
And had to sort of rebuild a team as well. So that's why I sort of moved up fairly quickly as a foreman. And where we ended up, we banged out quite a fair bit of work in the space of 2 years there, where we built 3 greens.
Wow.
7 tees. We chucked. Yeah, we did a lot of work there.
Far out. That's not something you get to experience in a short space of time like that either. That's not common.
Nah, not when it's a fully operational course too. So like, it wasn't like we were really closing everything down. It was on the go, and Josh is really hands-on and in-house sort of way of going about things.
Okay.
So like, my experience level went through the roof.
I was going to say, you'd be licking your lips at those sorts of opportunities, building greens and doing works, construction, grow-ins. There's a whole lot in that when it's assuming in-house as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And Josh is still there to this day, and it's quite impressive the amount of works that continue to go on there. And
yeah, I've been reporting on some of that stuff. They're still doing work. They're continuously improving. That's a great thing to see with any club, that they keep improving.
That's it, yeah. And I quite unashamedly say it's probably the most improved golf course without a total rebuild in Melbourne.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
It's been transformed a fair bit. And that's not, I'm not saying I did that. I left after 3 years, so
yep.
The work's continued on there. So, Josh is my biggest mentor for now as well. So
yeah, wow, okay. Good to have that in your career. having a good mentor?
Absolutely. Yep,
Because
absolutely.
I don't often speak about that or ask people that question, but you've got Joshua, was it? In
Josh,
your
yep.
Josh, yep, in your sphere, if you like. You're now a superintendent, but through your career, having worked under him there at Box Hill, and then kept him in your sphere and have him as a mentor through your time, you're learning from him. What's that like to have that person or a couple of those types of people in your sphere as your career progresses in life?
Yeah, it's the best mind setter for you, I think. So, and the more the better too. So yeah, he's not my only mentor, but he's
Yeah, sure.
probably the number one for me. But and I like to think that I'm trying to mentor other people at the same time. But you can't do this job alone. That's one of the biggest things I've probably got out of the last 2 or 3 years in
Yep.
my career. But um, yeah, having someone that's not necessarily on your site, not necessarily understanding the people that you deal with day to day,
Yep.
but he understands the industry and staff issues and economy of things. So I think it's always good to have someone to work off of that in that sense.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, good. Very good to hear. So you spend 3 years ultimately at Box Hill, you're saying?
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, did a bit of a right angle turn where I went back to South Australia, and Steve had a position open as an assistant at Blackwood again.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and I was getting that feeling, missing home. There was family support there and stuff like that. So um, yeah, I sort of wanted to go back to Adelaide,
Yeah, okay.
and yeah, so jumped back into a 2IC position at Blackwood. So
So you've
yeah,
stepped up from so you were foreman when you moved on from Box Hill and then went to assistant at Blackwood.
yeah. Josh made me a second assistant
Okay.
at,
So
at,
you
at
you did a little bit
Boxhill.
of career movement there as well.
Yep, yep. Um, but yeah, well, yeah, I did also do a tournament in those years as well. So I went and did the World Cup of Golf at Kingston Heath in 2016.
Oh, wow.
So that was the first tournament I ever experienced, and yeah, that was a very eye-opening event. Watching how cool and calm Hayden is as a turf manager, and he had Jared, who's now up at Rich River now, but he was his assistant, and yeah, watching that team work behind the scenes and how interesting the conditions were that week.
Yep.
Opened my eyes, and that was sort of a bit of a breaker of me too, of going, I want to push myself in this industry.
Yeah, okay. That's a
Um,
proper different level again. So you're experiencing something different yet again, even from within the bounds of being at Blackwood as an assistant, seeing a tournament, being part of it, involved, watching, learning under people who are got a lot of experience and at a top level golf course. That's really given you another insight of a next level.
yeah, yeah. And I also knew going back to Adelaide was going to reduce a lot of my opportunities, I guess, in tournament work or high profile golf courses or even jobs to be. Um, the job movement in Adelaide's quite rare.
Yep.
So yeah, I knew there was going to be a few challenges moving to Adelaide, but I was there.
I got to ask, and sorry to jump in, but I got to ask because often, well, maybe not often, but I do hear people making that move and that concern of
Mm,
I'm out of the big smoke being Melbourne or Sydney, right? Or even any of the capital cities on the East Coast, include Brizzy as well. I hear people say that there's an opportunity for me to go back to somewhere that I'd like to go, or it's a family reason to help out at that time of our lives, or whatever it might be. But then there's an equal doubling of, but I don't know if that'll hinder my opportunities in the future or not. I'm conscious of that move. Is that is that a thing? I didn't do that in my career. I started in the bush and stayed in the bush and ended in the bush, so I don't know. But is that actually something that does have an effect on your career path without knowing your next moves? I just wanted to ask you that now.
No, well, I had the freedom. I could move around, but I could definitely see if you had a family and had strong relationships where you couldn't move away, it definitely would hold you up a bit. But yeah, I was pretty fortunate to be able to move around a little bit.
Okay.
So yeah, I was at Blackwood and I'd been there for maybe 6 months or so, and I'd realised whether I'd made the right decision. I wasn't 100% sure of, and I knew that it was going to be a hard slog to try and find a higher level. I'd gone for another 2IC position at Tea Tree Gully,
Okay.
and missed out on that. And a lot of people get embarrassed when they don't discuss when they've missed out on a job. But I think it's pretty common, and it's it's nothing to be ashamed of. Like it's sometimes it's just personalities of committee members, or the right feel from someone. So
and sometimes you can miss a bullet without even realising, dodge a bullet.
Yeah.
And it could be the right thing. You might not. What happens next in your career that you do get, you might not have had that opportunity if you got the one previous. I mean, there's so many things that you don't. You're right. We don't talk about those missed things often enough, and it's not a bad thing that you don't get them. It's good that you throw your hat in the ring and you learn from those experiences too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
they're important steps.
And like even on the, if you keep talking like that, it's if you get summed up too much that you missed out on a job, you might miss the next one because you're still upset about losing that job. So
like golf, mate, you dwell on the shot that you stuffed up, and invariably the next 2 or 3 are bad shots.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I started to pivot from that point, knowing that I was gonna really struggle to try and present well on a page to either a committee or to a superintendent. I also went for a 2IC job at Grange under Rowan, and missed out on that one. So I was starting to sort of read between the lines and go, well, I've got to do something a bit different here.
Okay.
And at the same time, I was trying to tell a staff member basically to go overseas and travel the world. He had a bad breakup, and he didn't know what to do with himself. And I was telling him, there's an internship over in England. Like I know the turf manager, like the course manager there. I can set it up for you. And he went, yeah, that sounds good. And I set it all up for him, and then he sort of reneged on it all and went, no, I don't really want to do it. But why don't you?
Oh, okay. That's left field.
Yeah, and so I was looking at it going, I'm a 2IC, and I'm looking at an internship in the UK, which was like £14,000 for 6 months or something.
Yep.
Not a lot, and I sort of went, oh, well, I need to change something up here. I need to get a bit more experience outside of Adelaide and the one course in Melbourne, really. So, I jumped on a plane. Basically, I spoke to Steve, the super, and said, "Can I propose to the club that I go on 6 months leave without pay?"
Yeah, okay.
Over our winter. So I did that, and
wow,
that was in 2019. So luckily before COVID, but went and worked at RAC, which is the Royal Automobile Club.
Okay, I don't know that.
Nah, I wouldn't say it's a massive known course, but it's a 36-hole.
Oh right, wow.
And in Surrey, it's a bit like the RACV over here, sort of.
Yeah, okay, got you. And they own a number of places here, but so a 36-hole facility, no doubt, with that brand on it, it'd still be a pretty special place, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Just not internationally known, no doubt.
Nah, well, had 2 clubhouses. So one was 150 metres up from Buckingham Palace.
Okay.
Yep.
I did not see you telling that one part of the story.
Yeah, it was, no, the Queen. The Queen would, supposedly turn up every now and again.
What?
Donald Trump would fly over the golf course every now and again, and they had
Wow.
a couple of French members that would helicopter across and land in front of the clubhouse on the Surrey site and go into the
Legit.
Michelin star restaurant that they had there. So yeah, it was an interesting place to work, and I lived on site too. So yeah.
What I got to ask you, mate, what was it like stepping on the plane out of Adelaide, I'm assuming, to go there for what was this, I'm going to call it random, but left field step in your career? Were you apprehensive about how it was going to play out? Were you cautiously excited? What were your feelings about this move? Because this seems so left of centre, being sort of asked to the question of you that you'd set up for somebody else, and now it's you walking this path.
Yeah, yeah. No, I wouldn't say apprehensive. I was pretty excited. Yeah, I thought it was the opportunity that I needed to take, and yeah, I was only going to learn good things from it. So,
Okay.
um,
So you're
yeah,
open-minded, very much so, to go out there and see what this is all about. What can you learn from some experience like this?
yeah, and I'd say like traveling the world previous years helped with that.
Okay.
I was quite an introverted person when I was younger, so it's really brought me out of my shell, and yeah, it doesn't really make me afraid of asking questions of random people or putting myself out in the public spotlight. I guess it's you're only going to learn one way, I guess,
Yeah,
and
yeah. For the most
um,
part, that's it. Be in the deep end. Be uncomfortable.
yeah. So no, and yeah, I met a heap of interesting people from all around the world, and um, I've got lifelong friends out of that too. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, no, it was really good, but I used it as this is a career investment.
Yep.
Obviously, I wasn't getting. I probably lost money in that 6 months, but every bit of leave that I had or recruit time that I had, I would invest into tournament work.
Okay.
So yeah, while I was over there, I did the Scottish Open at the Renaissance
Oh,
Club.
wow. Okay. That's unreal.
Yeah, and that was their first year of holding it.
Righto. Gotcha.
And yeah, that I've done a lot. I've done a lot in tournament work, and that's by far my best experience was
Oh,
the
really?
Scottish Open. Yeah, well, we had because it was their first year, they didn't really know what to do with the volunteers, and they had a last minute pitch of, oh, we've got a house from one of the owners, and we were about two houses down from Roy McIlroy's house, so we were in a mansion, which I don't know if you've ever, anyone that listens that has done a overseas volunteer, you normally get put in a campsite or in some pretty dodgy accommodation, but this was 7 star almost.
I can imagine normal accommodation for volunteers will be pretty rudimentary, right?
Yeah.
I get that. You're saying, what was it, like a mansion or something?
Yeah. It was a seven bed mansion or something like that. Yeah, up in Scotland.
Out of
So
control. Not what
yeah,
you're expecting, right?
nah.
Far out.
But yeah, that opened my eyes immensely. Being Scottish golf, home of golf, and yeah, they had a on-site chef catering the whole thing, and
Go away.
he would play his bagpipes, and
I'll
yeah,
get
it's
out.
really.
This is a cultural homecoming more than ever.
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely. Yep. Even to the extent the superintendent drove us to the airport, and he gave us, it was me and another guy from Sweden, and gave us a hug and had a tear in his eye when he said goodbye, which,
Wow, that
um,
says a lot about the
yeah,
relationship you were able to build there.
yeah. So Paul's a bit of a consultant there now, and his son-in-law is now the superintendent, Jamie.
Wow.
But this is what I mean. I think it's the relationships you make out of these things, and um, yeah, I find it's more the people you meet than anything else you get out of these things. So
For sure.
So I did the Scottish Open, came back down to England, kept working. We did a US Open qualifier at Walton Heath.
Oh, wow. Okay. That would have
Which
been an
wasn't too
interesting
far.
experience. That's got a great name, Walton Heath.
Yeah, yep. And cannot remember the super's name there, but he was Scottish and he was very hard to understand. But again, just another opportunity, another golf course. Took it by both hands and saw that. And then we did the Czech Open as well in Prague.
What? Okay, that's
And
random.
it is. But again, it's connections and the course manager at RAC was good friends with. It was the Albatross Golf Club that
Awesome.
hosted that.
I have to put that one in the show notes and find more about that one too for people. There you go.
Yeah, and it's funny. So the super there, Ben, he's moved on too, but a bit of connection to Settlers Run. He was here when they built Settlers Run as a groundskeeper.
Oh,
So,
really? Wow. Okay.
yeah, it's just interesting the people you run into in your career and
Unreal.
Around the world as well.
Yeah. It's a small industry here, but it's still small even globally, right? That's incredible.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Amazing.
And talking about accommodation, that was the worst accommodation that I've ever experienced. Was in a bunk bed with three other guys around the place, and in a 3x2 meter hut.
Oh, wow.
But again, it's all experiences, and that place was unreal with stripes.
Oh, okay. There you go. Nice.
And their sort of very relaxed culture over in Prague or Czech.
Okay.
Never seen so many ground staff drink while working at the same time. We would have the pros playing practice rounds next to us, and you'd look across, and the local the local ground staff were sitting there drinking long necks next to them. And you couldn't talk to them because they didn't know English. So, yeah, it was a good experience again.
A different way of life. And 100% different experience. But they're all memorable experiences. And like you said, it's the connections you make in between, the things you learn, the things you see, the things you experience, you take away, add up to your career and what you know. And these are all wonderful parts of a journey in your career, right? If you weren't greenkeeping in golf, you wouldn't have done these things.
No, not at all.
They're different experiences. So, mate, that's unbelievable. Was this all in the 6 months you're set to be over in the UK, or had it extended now?
No. This is all in the 6 months.
Oh, my goodness. Didn't you pack it in?
Yeah. No, I didn't really have a day off for that 6 months. But it was one thing to note was with all these tournaments, like the Czech Open, I was back in the smoko room in England before they announced the winner. So,
yeah, right.
It was full on. It wasn't, we're going to party the last night, and
Yep.
You see some crews these days, they love it. But there was a bit of fun and party in it, but it was mainly let's work and experience what we can experience while we're over there.
Wow, that's awesome. That's unreal. So, how does your time finish off in the UK?
Yeah, so at this point, I was probably in discussions with Kooyonga. So they had a 3IC position open up at Kooyonga, and I'd emailed Richard James, who was the super there, and said that I was interested, but I'm in England.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, "Well, let me know when you get back, and we'll have a discussion then." So I sort of had that in the pipeline. We also did renovations, so I stayed until we did renovations in England.
Okay.
And then flew back, and then the next day I got back to Adelaide. We did renovations at Blackwood.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so there was a back-to-back 12-hour day.
I was going to say, hang on, what about jet lag?
Yeah.
Suck it up.
Jet lag and wait, I guess. And and then in between, I also had an interview with Richard. So
yeah, right.
Luckily I got that position. So I resigned from Blackwood pretty much immediately.
Yep.
And obviously with a good relationship with Steve, he understood where I was coming from and where I needed to go. But like it was a clear outset. There was a committee member, I think he was president, and we just put on a new manager at Blackwood, and he asked me how my trip went in England, and I was talking about it, and the president stopped me mid sentence and said, "Oh, look, enough about that. What I want to know about is how the green's coming back from renovations." And that was a bit of a deciding moment of I need to move on from this.
Yeah, right.
I need to find a place that's going to also think about its staff, not just about the end result. So I started at Kooyonga, and I think within 3 weeks of Kooyonga, we did renovations again. So
Yeah, wow.
I literally done 3 cores in the space of 6 weeks.
You'll be over it by now, I'm sure.
Yeah. And I always laugh when our committees say, "Do you really need a core?" I'm like, I don't want to, but yes, we do need a core. So, I always find it funny when golfers think that we do it for fun, but when we're really not.
Yeah, no, 100%. 100%.
I started on the back end of, I think it was October by now in 2019 at Kooyonga.
That's a pretty awesome place to get to. You talked about earlier you missed out on the opportunity at Grange. What's that feeling like getting into one of the top 4 of Adelaide?
Yeah, I was proud. I thought like this is where I was going to land, and I was going to really make my mark in the top tier of golf courses in Adelaide. And and day one, driving around the course, it was the best presented golf course I've walked on.
Wow.
From wall to wall, I thought like the standards are high here, and this is the place I can thrive in.
That's so good, and that's a big rap as well, considering you've seen some of that stuff overseas. And I mean that's it. Kooyonga's got an incredible name, full stop. So the fact that you experienced those other things and come back and still thought that highly of Kooyonga and a golf course in Australia, that says a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, I think so, and I don't say it lightly, and I try and say it without bias too, because I've got a lot of love for a lot of golf courses, but as a pure from wall to wall, I thought that was the best presented golf course I've walked on. Be proud to be in that team, and call myself a lower manager, I guess, and try and hold the standards and work my ass off really.
Yeah.
To show Richard and Adam, who was the 2RC at the time, what I was made of, and I put everything above for my job.
Yeah, wow, that's unreal. So what year was this that you took this role? This is still 2019?
Yeah, still in 2019.
End of 2019, yep.
And I was one of the lucky ones where I put my name up real early for the President's Cup to volunteer there. So
okay.
I was lucky enough to get a gig in that. So by this stage, it was my fourth or fifth tournament for the year.
Wow, that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah, I was pretty knackered. I can remember saying to a few people in that tournament, "This is me. I'm done. I'm not going to do any more volunteering." It's it was pretty tiring, but again, like the things I can take away, the people I've met through that experience were amazing. And obviously, everyone talks about Richard.
There's the Royal Melbourne, of course, for people who aren't sure, the 2019 President's Cup.
Yeah. But I would say it's funny. Like I've never worked on a golf course which is so close to a cricket wicket. It was they were more worried about the bounce than speeds or anything like that, which is really cool.
It's interesting. That was the first place, and that leading up to that event was the first time I'd ever seen Royal, and Richard Forsyth was kind enough to show me around. I'd never seen Royal Melbourne, and he did the whole ball out of the pocket and just starts bouncing it on the green and showing me, and my head exploded because I'd never seen anything like that before, like what you're talking about. That was my first experience as well, mate. It's an incredible thing to experience or see for the very first time if you've never seen it before.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's the only way I can explain it is trying to prepare a cricket wicket, which they always talk about killing grass instead of but yeah, Richard obviously does it very well and understands that
And your
too.
experience with cricket as well, that would have been interesting to see that in golf.
Yeah, yeah. I can remember one day I was I don't know what hole it would have been, but I was there with one of the ground staff from Royal Melbourne, and Finau hit in, and it bounced over our heads. So I sort of turned around thinking like he could have at least warned us, but bounced over our heads and went way back past the green. And I turned to the groundsman and said, "Oh, they're definitely bouncing." He goes, "Oh, this is nothing. They're double that normally on a normal comp day."
Stop it.
So it was
Wow.
very interesting, and yeah. And again, it was interesting. I had the two IC from Kooyonga there with us, and it was interesting just matching up what we get done on at Kooyonga. Like if you walk past a green onto a tee, the wear areas we would get stung on by our members.
Mm-hmm.
But Royal Melbourne, it's like a very natural vegetation, and it does wear out, and the sand gets in the and it's just interesting the expectations of what a high level golf club on two sides of the fence sort of look at.
Yeah, and go back to that word expectation, right?
Yeah.
Understanding what is wanted by the membership in this instance with those clubs. Very interesting to see what you've got to, because at the end of the day, that's what needs to be delivered. And who sets those expectations? It's a very interesting part of the conversation, and equally, I think, very important to understand.
Yeah, it was one of those moments, stand back and just go, yeah, we would get blasted for that if we had it at Kooyonga, but it's Royal Melbourne, number one in Australia. Working at a bit of a lower level golf club now and in the past, you'd always get the Royal Melbourne would have this conversation, but again, it's what your expectation is and the club's expectation is, I guess.
Yeah. Very interesting.
So did that, and I think it's one I've always gone back onto when I've had generally been ladies competitions where they say why is this not perfect, and you kind of go, well, I have done a tournament for Tiger Woods. Like that's the one thing I can sort of go, I've worked on the same golf course Tiger Woods has played, so that's the one thing I can tick off on that sense. But COVID pretty much hit straight after that.
Yeah, of course. Yep. Not long.
And that put a bit of a spanner in everything, in everyone's lives, I guess. But I guess it was a bit uncertain. There was no laws or barriers in South Australia at the time, but Kooyonga went down that route.
Okay.
And so we went on to restricted hours and did a few things like that, which the Melbourne clubs were doing. So a opportunity came up in Victoria at Warrnambool with Superintendent.
Right.
So I put my name in for that, and again, mentors are your best friend in this instance. So you might be doubting whether it's the right move but it's really good having that soundboard coming back, saying, I think this is a good move, and you never know what comes of anything like this. So managed to get an interview, but it was a real interesting one where I'd never visited the golf course.
Okay.
I wasn't allowed to cross the border and come back.
Oh, right. Okay,
So South
this
Australia
is
had locked
interesting.
off. Yeah, had locked off the borders. So I couldn't. Yeah,
So if
I
you
could
went
drive
out,
to the
you
golf
weren't coming
course.
back.
No. So it was a Zoom interview, and one of the first things I said was my CV looked like I'd worked at 25 golf clubs in the last 2 years. And the first thing I said was like, I know it looks like I've worked at a lot of places, but there's these reasonings why. And the GM stopped me in my tracks and said, no, your CV reads that you're very aggressive and you know exactly where you want to be.
Yeah, right.
And from that point on, I knew this is who I wanted to work with.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
And Ashley, she was amazing manager to work with, and I was fortunate to get the job, but I still hadn't seen the place or could even get there and come back. So it took me a day. It took me a day to think about it and go, "Yep, I'll accept it."
Wow.
Um,
First,
so
first time as a super,
mm,
the role, and sight unseen.
in regional Victoria as well.
That's a really interesting proposition. I can understand you taking a little bit longer to decide whether that was something that you wanted to take.
Mm.
I would have, as I'm sure you did, lots of question marks as to whether that was the right move. Who do you talk? Did you talk to many people at that time after about the opportunity of getting the role? Because it's a big step, and you don't want to make a mess of it at a great opportunity equally to be a superintendent somewhere. There's lots of different things involved in that decision making. Was it hard for you to make the call to take the
Um,
role, or like you deliberated, of course, but were you yeah? What were the thought
I wouldn't
processes
say
in that?
I wouldn't say it was hard. No, I was. I knew I wanted to run my own crew, and I wanted to experience what I'd seen so many people in other teams do.
Yep.
And I knew that this was probably my only way where I was in Adelaide. So
Okay.
um, I wasn't. No, it was just more the fact that um, you call up. So I was renting at the time in Glenelg, and you call up your rental agent saying, "Oh, look, I've got to cancel this rental, and I'm moving to Victoria." And they go, "Oh, really? You really want to go over there?" And there's peak COVID over here, and you sort of get the double thought of, yeah, yeah, it's a good point. But anyway,
Yep.
yeah. So other than that, no, I had no hesitation in job wise. I thought
Okay.
it was going to be the hard thing was going to a small team regionally. How much support will I have around me?
Sure.
Um, yeah, I remember packing up the car and driving over, and I played a round of golf with the manager on the Sunday before starting, and I had a brief rental there, and that was next to the president, and he was very welcoming in the place. So I got a pretty good experience straight away that it was going to be a tight knit community, and there was going to be a lot of support around me anyway.
Okay.
And like I was expecting to turn up and having one hardware shop or one irrigation mob, but Warrnambool's a big place. It's 35,000 people that live there.
Yeah. Right. It's not a small country town
No,
of
no,
2,000 people. It's got multiples of everything.
yeah, yeah.
But if you didn't know it,
Um,
you don't know that.
no, no. So yeah, no, it was interesting playing the course for the first time, and that was the first time I'd sort of walked on it, and um, yeah, no, it was a bit of a awakening, I guess, the first couple of days there, and seeing a small team, and just had an assistant and an apprentice and a sort of makeshift mechanic that worked on the course as well.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I'm pretty proud of what we did there over 2.5 years now, and the experiences I got there. We did a master plan there while I was there, and tried to align the course in as best shape as possible. And then the club took on a big construction build on the clubhouse,
Wow.
which probably sort of proved to my time that I needed to look maybe somewhere else if they were going to invest a lot of money into that.
Okay.
But
Why do you
best
say that?
thing, oh, I just the there was a lot of funds, I guess, moving towards construction, and whether the course was going to get or get taken away from the course, I guess.
Yeah, okay.
In budget wise.
Yeah. No, I was curious to hear it from you. I can make my assumptions about it, which is more or less what you were saying. But that just for people to hear why you might think those things where clubs spend money says a lot about their priorities, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And like it was definitely something that Warrnambool needed. It was
Sure.
just hard. It was hard for me when there's six, seven full-time staff, and they were going to build a $7 million clubhouse on a 18-hole golf course. That we tried to get as much visitor golf as possible, and in saying that, they're doing amazing now, and Stu, who's the super down there now, is he's put on more staff, so they're obviously invested in the right thing, and they're putting back into the golf course as well. So, I've got a huge admiration to the course committee there, and and Ash has left now, and I've got a massive amount of respect to what she did there as well, and I guess the opportunity at Settlers Run came up 2.5 years in, and I actually got asked to submit a resume into this job.
Right. Okay.
I thought, going to a bigger club, more staff, more construction opportunity, was going to be a progression in my career.
Yeah, sure.
So that was back in 2023. We took this on.
Wow. Was it much of a process through the interview process?
There was a couple. So we obviously did an on-site visit, and that was a general chat with the GM and discussion of where the course was sort of heading. Some of the prior problems that was here, and then I had my main interview with captain, vice captain, and GM, and then had a final interview with the president and the GM for final selection.
And then you get offered the role.
Yeah. Yep. Meanwhile, I just had my son 6 weeks earlier, so.
Another moment. I cannot begin to tell you how many people I've interviewed, and you might have heard many of them, but it's incredible how many people have children or get married when they're about to start a role as a super somewhere. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Mate, an exciting time of your life then, on many fronts.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Pretty hard to tell the grandparents that their 6-week grandson was moving away from them. From Warrnambool, but we've made the move back into Melbourne.
Wow, what a time of your life, mate! Unreal. Second time posting as a super, of course, and it's a pretty big joint, Settlers Run.
Yeah,
lots at your feet now.
That's it. Yeah, no, like almost triple the staff in one day, and obviously a bigger budget, a lot more to take care of, and probably a lot higher expectation too.
Mate, congratulations on your career path getting to Settlers, mate. That's an awesome story and an incredible career journey, and equally, I think, a life journey along the way. It sounds like you a lot of growth personally in that process of different experiences added up, along with adding to your career and learning along the way, and some decisions that you had to make, what to do, where to go, how can you improve to get into a point where you want to be as a super. Mate, that's congratulations on all of that, and great to hear that story. And now you're at Settlers and you're a new dad. I mean, there's both fronts are pretty busy.
Yeah, you gotta keep busy, I guess, to keep on going. So no, it was good, and it was a pretty big awakening coming up here too. So we had our wettest winter since I've been here that winter, so sort of really got to see the worst of what water can do in a form of golf, I guess, and having to manage that was probably more stressful than a summer.
Well, it's funny you say that because I often say to people, and I used to say this to my team at Katoomba and even when I did a shorter contract period at Blackheath, was you don't get those opportunities terribly often in Australia, in the most parts of Australia, of extended high periods of rainfall. So you've got to make the most of understanding water on your site. So when you get that opportunity, you've got to see it all for what it is and what happens, how it works, what water does, where it moves on the top and underground. Because when it does occur later on, you want to be able to solve those problems when you get the opportunity to see them properly. It's pretty impressive to take those opportunities to learn what's happening with water, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, to your point more is it shows you how important a superintendent's role is. And if you want to push someone out who's been in the job for 10 years because he's been there too long, you're losing all that intel as well. And someone's got to start off fresh as well. So
yep.
It's quite important. I don't know, sort of either have a 2RC ready to jump up, or a 2RC ready to work with a new person, or a lot of clubs I think lose a bit of that when they chop and change with supers, and it's the same with supers. If supers are in a job for, I can't talk, I was in it for 2.5 years at Warrnambool and left, but you got to respect that position and what the club's investing in as well.
Yeah, 100%, and knowledge on a site, like deep knowledge of a site and how it functions through you can, as you said, you can be a super or you can be on a golf course working and completely not know about how it performs in different environments in terms of rainfall or dry or whatever it might be. You can also, it can be thrown at you and you don't know how to deal with it because you haven't experienced it. So somewhere in the team, it's good to have an extended period of knowledge or combined periods of knowledge from one person or multiple people that have experienced it in different periods to be able to deal with those problems when they come back up.
Yeah, 100%.
Mate, I want to, and thanks again for sharing your journey with us. Now I'd like to talk about Settlers Run in a little bit more depth with the time we've got remaining. Tell us a bit about the site of Settlers. You touched on there, it's a big site. It had some drainage problems to deal with when it's high rainfall because it does sit low. It's heavy soil. I know that from talking to you and being there. Tell us a bit about the site of Settlers and some of its unique features.
Yeah, so it was built back in 2006 now, but it was one of the fastest builds, I reckon, in Australia. So it took 11 months to build this course.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to have the shaper on site with me for the construction works we're doing now, and
yeah, right.
He was in charge of it back then. So
okay,
I get a little bit of intel on that, but. Opened in 2007. So
Norman Design, right? Harley Cruz did it.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, and I was listening to Harley on your last pod.
Yeah.
Recently, which was he sort of spoke a bit about the tree on the 16th fairway and the windmill on the 3rd fairway. So we're on an old homestead, so that's where they tried to merge a bit of the golf course architecture into that.
Okay, got it.
But yeah, it's quite a slopey site. So golf carts are a big thing for us. I get blasted when I ban carts on the course, and being a wet course, I do it a lot.
Yeah, sure.
But luckily now the membership understand really well that we're trying to preserve the golf course as best as possible. So when it does dry, and it only takes a couple of days now, it's actually quite an enjoyable place to play, even in the middle of winter. So, the club's invested a lot of money into the drainage system that we've got here, and there's still a lot more to put in. But it's good to see how the course does dry out, and we rely on wind. Wind needs to help us dry out a bit, but.
And that's mainly around the heavier soils of the property?
Yeah. It's an interesting one. I've dug a few holes around the place here in 3.5 years, and I've definitely worked on a lot more harder sites
Okay.
with clay. But yeah, this one's a little bit different, where it seems to have either cracks in the aquifers down below or something like that, where water seems to just spring up.
Yep. Okay.
Um, so I reckon I found a bit of a line on the back nine sort of side, where we're slowly fixing where this water's coming through. But it was my first job when I first turned up, was to fix the 13th fairway, which was a fair bit of drainage, but that just constantly runs water. And prior to my time, they thought it was just an irrigation leak, but there's no irrigation there to leak. So
It's a natural spring.
yeah. So it's just this place just has water coming out of weird areas, and it's also good having the shaper on site, and he understands it too. Where when they were building it, they could see different areas getting wetter than other areas, and it's a interesting site, just to say. But
These are unique challenges, right? When you've got springs coming up out of the ground, and I could speak from experience about this particular concept. I don't think people, like you said there, I don't think many people understand what happens because you can't stop it, right? And it's a slow-moving problem often, and it's a headache to deal with because I've had, in my particular examples of, I've even had contractors tell me what's going on and got it completely wrong and wasted money trying to solve something they didn't understand. Like it's something that you really have to work at to try and fix, solve, and appreciate what's going on to understand the site overall, isn't it? Because it's an ongoing thing.
Yeah, and it's funny. Like, you might put some drainage in one part, and then the following year it's 10 meters, below that.
Yeah, people don't know why it moves. I've got my own theories, but it's fascinating. I love that type of stuff. And I like you said there, you've dug a lot of holes in your time there, because it doesn't matter whether we're talking about water or you're talking about other challenges on a site. I'm a big believer and advocate for playing with things as a golf course manager, as a superintendent, just as a greenkeeper. I think it's hard now, and I see a lot more of apprehension of young people. They've got to get a groove and an understanding, in my view, to play with stuff. You've got to go out and dig holes. I've dug holes in the middle of greens before. Like, just got the shovel out and just gone, you know what, there's only one way to find out the answer to this. Yeah. and my staff looked at me like I had two heads. I'm like, let's just get into it, guys. We can plug it up back later, but we really need to work out what the hell this is. Like, this is weird. And when you got something that has a big question mark around it, you just got to go out there and play with it and not be scared sometimes and dig lots of holes and do whatever you got to do. But you have to be in it and get your hands dirty and really play around with stuff to find answers to things you don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I find that really important.
You'd be quite surprised at how important what's underneath is the main cause of any issue, really. It's, what's above it is...
Sometimes there's just a big giant boulder under there. Wondering why an area just dries out all the time, and you dig like 6 inches down and you go, that's why, because no one told us about that. But equally, I wanted to express that point, because I think a lot of the time we've got a lot of tools. We've talked about the importance of tools and infrastructure in the shed and all those things, and they're modern. To me, they're all modern equipment stuff, but nothing will take you away from the importance of being hands-on and getting your hands dirty and going out there and playing with things in a loose sense to really find out the answers. You're not going to find those answers out from sitting back and not playing with stuff. That's my view. And mate, it's great to hear that you say that that's what you had to do there at Settlers, to find out the answers.
Yeah, I can remember saying, as a foreman at Box Hill, one day I got called up from the 2RC, who's not there anymore, and he said, "Oh, why you come in on weekends?" And I go, "Because I just like knowing information, and I like seeing things at different times of the day. And I think every day you learn something different. And whether it's a dew line that's a bit, there's a bit off over there, so you start looking at it, whether there's a dry patch or it's just." your time and different times of the day is quite valuable, I think.
And you're right; they're all indicators, right? You'll see something different, and to I again, I don't mean to sort of keep throwing my experiences into this conversation, but I remember when I was at Katoomba and it was pouring down one time, and I said to the boys, "That's it. It's been pouring down for 2 days. Suit up, boots, rain gear, umbrellas, the whole kit and caboodle, because we're going to spend 2 hours walking the golf course." Like we would spend the morning shift. I'll never forget it. And I ended up doing it more regularly as time went on when those opportunities come, because that's the only way. The board members, committee members, golfers, whatever, will never see what we are going to see. So when we deal with those problems, they don't understand why they're an issue, but we've seen why they're an issue and we now know how to solve them. And like you said, you go out at different times of the day on the weekend because it might be blowing 50 Ks and it might be 40 degrees. That doesn't happen to be during the workday, during the week. And you'll go and see something at 6 a.m. or equally in the afternoon, late in the evening. How's it all performing? Which areas are going off first when you would normally come in and it's already all gone off, whatever it might be. It's really important. I'm sitting here nodding as you're telling me this stuff, mate, because I just am all over the same way of thinking. You've got to see it. You've got to be hands on. You can't assume that something resulted a way that you're seeing it well after it happened. Sometimes you have to watch it unfold to go, oh, that's how the train wreck occurred. Yeah, mate. I love to hear you say that. It's amazing. I don't think a lot of people.
I think it's a lost fact. And I say it purposely though. I was a 3RC because I see a lot of guys coming up in the industry, guys and girls coming up in the industry, but they just expect that they'll be ready when they go for the next job. But I think it's important you got to spend time. And I know I went up fairly quickly when I got there, but it was taking notice of a lot of things. And again, I go back to that mentoring. Like I was pretty much, if I was cutting greens, I was driving from one green to the next green, and then I'd get pulled up and say, have you looked at that tee? Have you seen the wear on that fairway? And you start opening up your eyes a bit more, and you start thinking more and more like the next step that you need to be.
Yeah, 100%. 100%, mate. Absolutely unreal. Sorry to jump in with your water stuff, but that was just awesome to hear you talk about that. I was loving it. So that's a unique challenge of the golf course in recent times.
Yeah. So we're known. We're quite known to get wet, but like everyone is pretty encouraging at the moment, and we're having a pretty wet-ish winter, even though it's quite warmer than average. But the course is holding up pretty well, and where my job is to provide a course that's open all year round, and I'm trying to do that to the best as possible at the moment.
Awesome. Good to hear, mate. Good to hear. What are your turf surfaces around the course made up of as we experience golf at Settlers?
Yeah. So originally the greens were planted with 10-19 greens, bent greens.
Yep.
Fairways were legend.
Okay.
And tees were legend. So they've done a lot of work in both areas now. So I think they put a lot of crystal blue bent grass in, and we've got a main putter that's pure distinction.
Okay.
But does not perform like any pure distinction that has been planted in Victoria before. We're
interesting.
Yeah, we're a little bit puzzled by that.
The importance of trials.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And it's a big discussion point in the club at the moment is turf varieties for greens, and we're at that almost at that 20-year point of our inception, and we're looking big picture, whether we're looking 10, 15 years ahead of where do we want our greens to be in the future.
Sure.
How we're going to budget for that, how we're going to construct that with continuous playing of membership. So there's those bigger level discussions happening, but currently a lot of power in our greens. I'd say that we've got a good percentage of power now, and we deal with that. We don't prevent it.
Okay.
Again, probably another model of my history is how you can utilise power, not eliminate it. From other golf clubs that have gone pretty hard on power, and they've line planted Santa Ana through a lot of the fairways here too, which we probably have a 40-60% Santa Ana to legend now.
Okay.
And yeah, we're continually trying to put in as much Santa Ana as possible, but you can, this time of year, you can definitely see the legend sort of lets itself down in, and
Okay.
The power battle on fairways is pretty hard.
Yeah, for sure. And like you mentioned, everyone deals with power in different ways. It's whether you want to deal with it in terms of fight against it, or you're happy to deal with it and incorporate it into your surfaces, or whatever it might be. It's again an assessment and a judgment on understanding what you need to deliver on your golf course.
Yeah, and again, it's one of those ones with, if you can blend it out and it doesn't look like spotted power.
Yeah.
Members don't even realise it, I don't think, where we've had discussions again in upper level, and someone heard power and he said, I don't want power greens because I play late in the day. I'm like, you've been playing on power greens for the last 6 years.
They didn't even know it.
No.
Didn't even know it. Mate, very good, interesting turf services to Crystal Blue, did you mention? What was it? Crystal, the bent?
Yeah, Crystal Blue.
I've never heard of that one. So there you go, something new.
Yep.
Tell us a bit about your team. What does it take to deliver the golf course of Settlers Run with a team? What have you got?
So 10 ground staff at the moment, with one mechanic. We're one short, so I'm looking to put someone on sooner than later. But being winter, I've sort of held off on that.
Yep.
And I run fairly basic with an assistant, a foreman, or 4 girl.
Okay.
I should be more politically correct. And
is that Emma?
Emma, yeah.
Oh, so, Emma Lewis. Yeah, right.
That's it. Yep.
Very good. I have to shout out to Emma. She's a friend of the pod. We've had her on before on different things.
So again, someone who's got a lot in her career, a lot of upbringing in the career, and she's finishing off her diploma now. So we've got a good team. I've definitely had an uphill battle with staff here from day dot, and I think that's probably everyone in this position has to understand, and you probably don't get trained on it well enough, and you learn dramatically when you get into the role how to deal with different personalities and the right way and the wrong way of going about things.
Yes, it is a part of the job that we don't often talk about. No doubt about it. Something you got to learn.
Yeah. No, well, we've had some tragedies in this team too. So, 3.5 years. You could probably think of every scenario under the sun that sort of hit our team. But I think whatever you go through makes you stronger. So we've sort of encouraged everyone that stuck with us that we're going in the right direction.
No, mate, it's something to it's a challenge to have a team, manage a team, different personalities, different challenges of everyone's individual life, and then keep everyone upbeat as well. I mean, that's culture. The team culture becomes something that you've got to also look after as well and foster in the right way, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was probably one of my biggest points in the interview process was staff culture, and what I believe to be a professional manager and leader of a team, and you don't ask for respect, you earn it, and it's given both ways. So, and that's the way I've tried to lead this team.
No, mate, it's very good to hear. Have you got a special part of the golf course? As we get an opportunity, many of us get an opportunity to, at some point, play Settlers Run. You're out there all the time. You know the golf course very, very well, obviously, every day in, day out. Have you got somewhere that's a special place that you like on the golf course? Maybe it's somewhere that, as golfers, we haven't recognised before.
It's probably an iconic spot, but it's a good one late on the Sunday afternoon. I feel like when hopefully no one's out. It's pretty rare to get a spare moment in the afternoon out here, but behind the 12th green, looking back down 12 and 17, it's a really good spot. You're sort of hidden away. You can collect your own thoughts, and there's plenty of wildlife around the place. So it's a pretty good spot when you get the sun at the right spot too.
Good to note, mate, for people who get the opportunity to play Settlers, and it's always good to hear about those places that are highlights of the golf course. So I thank you for sharing that. A couple of final things, mate, before we go. You have been doing bunker work there. You mentioned that. The course is now 20 years old. Bunkers have a lifespan. Everything has a lifespan. We've just talked about your putting surfaces. Everything has a lifespan. But you guys have been doing a lot of work in your bunkers over recent times, and we've touched on that in the past on Walking the Fairways. How have you found those improvements using modern bunker liners, which you're doing? You've got to reshape them. You've learnt from, perhaps 20 years of that bunker being in situ that maybe it could be redesigned or constructed differently or slightly shaped differently. Tell us a little bit about how that's gone for you.
Yeah, so again, it's another big talking point in our committee as well, is how severe our bunkers are, and whether someone thinks that it should take a golf swing or two to get out of, or if it's too penalising. But I think on the majority, it can be too severe, and it's definitely maintenance wise, it's quite hard to upkeep some of the bunkers that were originally built. And
is that
also good
is that a little bit because of steep faces, large, high faces? What are we talking about?
Yeah, no, they're very steep. Too steep. You can't keep sand on them at all. So yeah, and I think like you look at it, the original design and the scope of works this was going to be a residential golf course. It was meant for 50 golfers a day.
Yeah, right. Okay.
We only have 100 car parks in the car park lot, but now we're exceeding over 200 most days during decent golf weather.
So it's become a very different proposition for what it was originally intended to be. So that changes again the way that you deliver the product, what you've got to do to maintain the course.
And like we're obviously you got to think about older clientele as well. So getting in and out of bunkers, the safety for that. So everything I've had, other than I touched on last time we spoke about sand, all sort of reports are coming back fairly positive, other than plugging. And again, I just don't know where the perfect answer for sand is, but and it's that conversation on visitor hazard. Does it need to be perfect? But drainage wise, performing excellently. Like we've reduced probably what we've done. I think we've done 15 bunkers, 16 bunkers now. That reduces a quarter of what we have to pump out when we have a big rainfall.
Wow.
We don't get any washouts on them, so that saves us a heap of time as well. So like maintenance wise, we're shooting through the roof, I think, and there's more obviously works in the plans to do that this year as well.
Oh, mate, that's fantastic to hear. You mentioned there it was going to be a residential course at the sort of the outset, the original concept of it. You've got a lot of neighbours around the property. And the way that the golf course is designed, along with the housing around it there, it's one of the things that you see pretty quickly when you turn up. Mate, that in turn has some different challenges that you need to consider about maintaining a golf course. What are some of the things that you have to consider? Because a lot of people don't realise that a golf course that's, maybe, and I'll use a random example that I saw recently in Victoria, was Langland Golf Club. It's out in towards the Gippsland area, farmland around it, lots of different parts of land around it that isn't housing. So that the way that golf course can be maintained is different to what you need to consider with lots of people living around a golf course. So what are some of the things that you need to think about the way that you maintain the course there?
Well, first thing's noise. Like, we obviously can't do anything too noisy too early in the morning. But we're fortunate enough; it's on one side of the course, not both sides.
Okay.
At the moment, we might be getting something there later in the years, but probably there's main roads to consider.
Yeah.
We also have to cross. Lights. I find noise is probably the final conversation, but I think lights actually wake up residents more, and then they hear the noise and complain about the noise.
That's interesting. I would never have thought of that. Lights.
Yeah. There was a big one I had at Box Hill, that had housing all around it. And
right.
That's always one to contemplate. But our houses are our members, so we respect, their thoughts and opinions, and
sure.
They have a body court that they I guess confide into, and then they talk to us. But we're pretty open, and we try and litigate any issues, I guess, before they become too loud or strong.
Yep, and it sounds like there's a communication process as well between the parties to keep things moving, because there's nothing worse than when everyone stands in their corner, things break down pretty quickly. So as long as people are communicating and you're aware of those things, you're conscious about them, and noise is one of those things that we have to be conscious about. Is there anything that I just randomly throw in here, mate? Is there anything in there that in modern technology, are you looking? Do you have a consideration for any of these modern bits of equipment, of electric stuff that doesn't have combustion engines? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
It's definitely being spoken about, but I think the way we can manage it at the moment, the pressure isn't there for us to seriously invest in. But like on weekends, I've got electric machines that go out that sort of bypass that, so we're not out too early. But again, it's more the lights. I feel like if we got the lights in the wrong spot,
okay,
that residents will complain, because they've woken up, and then I lived on course at Box Hill, and I could have the greens mile cut 45 metres away from my head, and I would not wake up. But if I woke up and then saw the greens mile, I'd hear it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yep. The way the brain works is interesting, and everyone's different.
Yeah. But I'm a strong sleeper, so I'm probably not the best person.
Mate, it's all makes up for the things that we have to consider as superintendents in the role. All the challenges, all the different people in different stakeholders in clubs, whether it be golfers, whether it be neighbours, whether it be staff. You've got to manage all those different parts of maintaining a golf course. It's not just the grass. And that's one of the things that I like to highlight in these conversations, is that we as superintendents and leaders in management on a golf course aren't just worried about the grass. There's so many other factors that we need to consider, look at, whether it's Mother Nature, whether it's rainfall, temperature, players, like I said, or even this council and strata bodies, and all different things involved in the role. And it sounds like you've experienced a lot of those different things in your career, mate, not just at Settlers here, but in all the other parts that you've experienced to add up through your career thus far, mate. It's great to hear you share all that with us, mate. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I think you got to take it head on as well. And I've definitely had some interesting letters come to me and go, I know I've done something wrong here, but I think having those conversations and learning from it and being upfront and honest if something was done wrong or whatever it is, it's going to make it better in the future. Yeah, definitely. You got to learn from every experience, I believe.
Absolutely. Brenton Clarke, look, I think that's a great way to finish off our conversation. And we've gone through a lot in your career, mate. I don't know where these conversations are going to go when we start them, because I try to make it my business to not know much about people's backgrounds as well, so we can learn a lot along the way, dive into different rabbit holes and keep it real as we're chatting. So, Brenton, mate, I appreciate you sharing everything you've shared with us about your career path. I congratulate you on your career and all the hard work you've gone through to get to where you are today, and what you're able to help bring to the party at Settlers Run and improve the golf course and be part of leading the team and leading the club in helping the club and the course offer something different and unique for people to experience down there in Melbourne. Mate, it's been great to have you on and sharing everything you have. Mate, I really appreciate you taking the time to jump on John Deere Golf Keeper of the Greens and be involved and share with us all your wonderful insights, mate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. And yeah, obviously, I'm not going to have a job in Victoria with stripes anymore, but I've loved the conversation, and yeah, I was very excited to hear from you when you contacted me.
Mate, thank you, Brenton. Appreciate you jumping on John Deere Golf Keeper of the Greens.
Cheers, Dave.
There you have it. Superintendent Brenton Clarke from Settlers Run Golf and Country Club down in Melbourne in Victoria. So good to have Brenton on the podcast. What a story he's had. He's done some amazing travel around, coming out of Adelaide. A cricket man early on. No golf. That was fascinating to me. Adelaide Oval boy, big fan. His Mecca, as he called it. And then gets into golf, greenkeeping locally in Adelaide before making a few moves and then taking an opportunity to go overseas, which came to him in a left field kind of a way. Get some experience there in working in some amazing places and some fantastic events and tournaments. What a journey. Comes down to Melbourne and makes the move during COVID times, and then eventually works his way up to Settlers Run. Look, it was a great story of Brenton's career, and I appreciate him coming on the podcast. I want to say thank you to Brenton for sharing all of that with us. Hopefully some of that was relatable to you. Hopefully all of that was interesting. It certainly was to me. I was fascinated by the conversation, as you could tell. And it's great to get that insight about Settlers Run Golf and Country Club. It's a big golf course, I've got to tell you, as Settlers. Haven't seen all of it, but far out it's huge, and it looks amazing. When I first went there, the scale was what got me. And to hear Brenton talk about how quickly that golf course was built overall from the farmlands that it was originally on, wow, just amazing. But they're doing a wonderful job down there at Settlers, Brenton and his team, which is fantastic. And if you get the opportunity to play there, I've got no doubts you will enjoy Settlers indeed. Now, there's lots of clickables in the show notes, ladies and gentlemen. Please go and have a look at them. I've done the homework for you. A lot of the things in the golf courses that Brenton has seen or worked at that were mentioned are there in the show notes for you to click, and it goes straight to them. I've done the hard work. You just got to click on it. You can do it while you're on your phone as well, if you want to. It'll take you straight there. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. That way, whenever there's any new content coming out, and there's lots coming, let me tell you. I've had lots recently, and there's lots coming. We've hit the 200 mark, and we are still heading up. It's amazing where this podcast is going and what we've got planned to keep doing moving forward, to keep bringing you some more content, ladies and gentlemen. So please like, share, and subscribe. Any reviews, comments, and written reviews, star rating reviews, written reviews, they're all amazing, and they go a long way to helping the podcast get around. Thank you, of course, to John Deere Golf for their ongoing support with this segment, Keeper of the Greens, on the podcast. Go and check them out. Ask them questions about the machinery that they have available to help you look after your golf course better. And that includes the electric walk-behind greens mowers, the 225E cut and the 185E cut. Go and have a look at them online and go and ask them some questions if you're looking to upgrade your fleet or just looking to improve how you deliver quality on your golf course with the quality machines that they have available for you. Go to their website, deere.com.au. That's the best way, or tap on the shoulder of your local rep and find out more information that you need. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this segment of John Deere Golf Keeper of the Greens. Thank you once again to Brenton Clarke. You hit him clean, we'll keep him green, and I'll catch up with you very soon.